Alright, hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another lazy review. This time we're going to be talking about Marvel What If Season 3, the final season of What If, at least, final Marvel animation as it stands right now. I think they already confirmed Marvel Zombies and some other things, so I think some of these concepts, characters, settings will come back in a different form. But in any case, we're talking about What If right now. The first episode has dropped today. And this episode is What If Hulk fought the Mech Avengers, I believe it is. A Mech Avengers. It was an okay episode. And it does make me worry a little bit. It seems like it's not really connected to the story from season 2, at least not so far. And when looking back on season 1, like the lack of interconnectivity, or at least seeming lack of interconnectivity, is also why I thought that season was not so great. So I'm hoping they can kind of bring things together here. But yeah, this episode, it was fine. I liked how it started with like the old school cartoon style of like telling the Avengers story with the first Gamma War, which we haven't seen in any MCU projects at the time of recording this. So it was interesting to kind of learn about this, I assume, as Elseworld story. And then we kind of like transition to present day, where we're talking about Bruce kind of starting up, or not Bruce personally, but a different version of the Hulk starting up another Gamma War. And so the Avengers are trying to figure out what to do. They talk to Bruce, that gives them this protocol to build this mech for the Hulkbusters. So they all come together, and then you like get to see the mech for maybe a few minutes before it breaks. So Bruce comes to the rescue, kind of, and becomes basically a giant Hulk kaiju, which, if y'all keep up with my streams and all that kind of stuff, I'm not anti-kaiju, but I'm not like a super huge kaiju fan either. So to see Hulk kaiju, I'm like, oh, okay. And then, I'm on with my day after that. So yeah, I don't know. This I think they've made better episodes. Hopefully this season will uh you know continue to get better from here and not stay on the same pace, cuz yeah, I don't know. It did seem like they had some interesting episodes when they showed the trailers for the show. So, I guess fingers crossed there, but yeah, first episode down. All right, so I just checked out Agatha. What if Agatha went to Hollywood, which is like the second episode in the new season of What If. Uh, I had more fun with this one, I will say, but it was a pretty silly episode. I think I said this on a few different occasions, but I haven't said it recently, so I'll just say it again. Like, I'm okay with silly things. I like silly things. I'm a silly person. That being said, it needs to be like my kind of silly to really vibe with it. Otherwise, like, I also recognize some things being just plain silly. And this was a little silly for my taste. I think it also doesn't benefit from the fact that, like, there's some Eternals characters, lore, kind of a part of this as well. Not a lot of people are a big fan of the movie, myself included. I thought it was fine. It didn't really grab me though. I think this with Agatha using these movies to like collect power to steal from the Celestial, okay. And come to find out, like, she wanted the power for herself, not to like fix anything, whatever. Like, that's not a huge surprise. um I was kind of shocked that I was kind of surprised to see that Kingo managed to kind of bring Agatha away from the path of evil and to potentially something good. I'm not fully sure I can trust Kingo either because, he's very selfish and self-centered, as we've seen from, I'm pretty sure Eternals, he was kind of the same way with wanting to be a Bollywood star and everything about him, and that's kind of similar with what happened here. He was willing to trade away his duty to protect the celestial for Earth that was going to spawn like billions of people or something like that, just to be in some movies. So I don't have faith that he's gonna necessarily do the right thing either, but I guess he's the lesser of the two evils between himself and Agatha. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, one more thing I had to mention because I didn't go over it when I was just thinking about the series as a whole. But yeah, the fun part about this episode was seeing Agatha fight the other Celestial. I think it's Ashram, something like that. That was really interesting. That was cool. Also, just to see like how Agatha is very OP. Like I didn't know that she could absorb all of that power. That's pretty crazy. Agatha might just be a bottomless pit that you could just put power into and then unleash it, which is interesting. And maybe they should explore that a little bit more in the MCU. But in this episode, though, it was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that part. Alright, so I just checked out episode 3 of What If. What if the Red Guardian stopped the Winter Soldier? I think this was a better episode. It was fun. It kind of, I felt like, retreaded some of the same ground of Captain America and, or no, it was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is funny because it's Bucky again. It's a Captain America-like figure again. And it's kind of, yeah, just them becoming closer, kind of. I feel like we get to see, I get to know Bucky a little bit more in this than maybe the show, or maybe just in a different way. I'm not completely sure. In the other show, in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, but yeah, it is all kind of centered around Red Guardian stopping Bucky from killing Tony Stark's grandpa, or was it his dad? I think it was his dad. Interestingly, we don't get to see, I guess, the how that affects the rest of the MCU, I guess, as far as like Howard Stark still being alive. Like, what does that mean for everything else? Granted, this is in a very limited amount of time. I feel like that could have been more interesting than the story that we got, but still, fun story. So yeah, this was the first, I feel like, solid episode. I'm like, I'm walking away. I'm like, oh, this is cool. The title did not give me much hope. I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't really what I was expecting, but yeah, I wouldn't say we're on a good streak, but we're in a better place than I think the previous 2 episodes kind of left me feeling. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Alright, this is the 3rd time I'm recording this because I feel like I've been talking too much. So we just watched season 3, episode 4, What If Howard the Duck, I think, got married or had a kid, something like that. That's pretty much what happens in the episode. It was a little, I got the ick a little bit finding out that Darcy and Howard the Duck had a kid, because that means that they had to have got intimate, and the thought of bestiality is not something that's funny to me. So yeah, that was a thing, but it's a cartoon. I guess we should just move past that. So their kid turns out to have been born during a planetary alignment, and it's a mixed species, so mixed baby, planetary alignment, gonna be super powerful. There's all of these different organizations and villains trying to get to this kid. I don't know what their goal would have been, because it doesn't seem like towards the end of the episode you see Birdie is finally like hatched from this egg. It doesn't seem like Birdie can really be controlled, at least not easily. So I don't know what people were fighting about if they wanted to kill Birdie or I don't know. I don't know what the situation was. But I will say it was fun. It was fun to see a bunch of different villains pop up from all kinds of different Marvel franchises. We had Thanos, and Ebony Maw, like his kind of squad. I think we had Zeus. Sorry, I don't know if y'all can hear my brother scream. I don't know what he's screaming about. But we had Zeus from the Thor, and we had like Jotunheim, Blue Giant Loki from the season 1 of What If, the Party Thor, What If Thor Didn't Have a Brother episode, which is one of my least favorite, if not my least favorite episode in the entire series. So I think it's a little bit funny that they continue to follow up with that story. I will say that I thought this was more fun and made more sense as an episode than that one did. But again, my issue with this series is not necessarily that the stories aren't fun. It's like, the concept of What If is to take an existing event from the MCU and say, like, what if we went a different route? For example, the thing that immediately comes to my head, like, what if Steve Rogers was not accepted into the military or something along those lines? Like, I think that would be interesting because then, like, is Bucky going to be Captain America? Would Steve have found another way to, like, do what he needed to do to become Captain America? Would he been a sidekick? Like, I don't know. I think that could have been interesting and something that the writers could have chewed on. So I don't know why they're kind of shying away from existing MCU events. Kind of throughout the whole series, but I honestly like season 2 a lot better because at least it felt like there was a more interesting overarching story. But throughout the whole series in general, they kind of have strayed away from that. And maybe they're covering what if stories in the comics. I think the Marvel Zombies is a what if story, which is cool. But from what I know and from what Marvel's been promoting with the existing MCU catalog, like that has never been a thing that I've seen, heard about, anything like that. So all of these stories kind of feel like Elseworld events, which I think would have been fine if they called it like Marvel Elseworld or something like that. But if it's a what if and we're talking about the MCU as we know it right now, like you need to pick some events from what we've seen. And there's so much that they could pick from. So I don't know. If we're gonna do Elseworlds, throw the Jeff the Shark in there. That's my pitch, but yeah, I'm gonna cut off before I talk too much. Alright, so I just finished watching What If Episode 5, What If the Emergence Destroyed the Earth. They actually did a what if that we deals with an event that didn't happen in the MCU universe, but it could have happened. So this is the what if of what if the emergence did happen. Wow. And surprise, surprise, I think this is my favorite episode so far. So what was unexpected, and that's the cool thing about this episode too, is like they did follow what if, but there was still unexpected elements, which I think is probably the best makeup you could have for a what if story. So that we can still be surprised. So the emergence happened, and we follow Riri Williams as our main character, who is Ironheart for those who may not be familiar. I know she was in the Wakanda Forever, and her show was supposed to have come out, I think, 2 years ago or something, but who knows what's going on with that. So this is the first time we've seen her since Black Panther, which is sad to me, but really happy to see her. She is capable of making a weapon to fight against Mysterio, because apparently Mysterio took over Stark Industries, and somehow he was also able to take over White Vision. I don't know. I'm confused how he's able to do all these things, but he did them. So he's using White Vision as like this enforcer of Mysterio law, and Riri was able to create a weapon to beat him. Then she goes after Beck, and they have like an interesting battle with like what's real, what's not real, and there's also we get to see Wong was there, Fang Wu, I think her name was, I know Fang was in there for sure, and we have like the Valkyrie King, I forget if she goes by King, but Valkyrie from the Thor movies, and a representative from Wakanda. I'm not sure what her name is. I apologize. I'll put it on screen. But Yeah, they made up the alliance. They were fighting together. At the end, I'm not totally sure what was real, what was not. So I don't know if they all died or if Beck just made her believe that they died. But Riri won at the end of the day, which was interesting because the Watcher, he starts off telling the story that, like, Riri, every version of this he's seen, Riri has died in this battle and she hasn't won. And so the Watcher, just as Riri was about to like give up, he influenced her by just telling her to fight, like keep fighting. So Riri stood up, fought, and beat Beck. The most interesting part of this, and what seems to be the creation of the connective tissue for this season, only have 3 episodes left, so I'm fortunate that this is now where the focal point is based. But because Awatu influenced the result of this universe and influenced Riri, the other like Watcher, Administrator people are now like, hey, he just broke his oath for the second time. Like we gotta watch him and I guess figure out what to do next. So it seems like Awatu, he might be throwing hands again by the end of this season. Riri, since she's a part of a deviated universe, I guess she'll probably be there. But yeah, this was much better. We actually covered something that could or could not have happened in the MCU, a deviation from what we've seen. And we also got to learn a little bit more about Riri, who's in universe, but we don't know a lot about her. So that was great potential to just have a story there in general. And now we get to see what's happening with the Watchers. So yeah, best episode of the season for me so far. It was fun, action packed, drama. I can't complain too much. Yeah. All right, so we checked out episode 6, What If 1872. This episode, not necessarily a what if scenario based off what we've seen in the MCU, but the basis for this episode is what if Shang-Chi's sister, Xialing, excuse me if I said that wrong, what if she came to America in like the 1860s, 1870s. And this was when they were building the railways using Chinese labor. Obviously, not a good time for the Chinese people, and Shelling like faced some hardships because of it and went missing. So now her brother, Shang-Chi, was looking for her with the help of Kate Bishop as Hawkeye. And it's kind of it's a Western episode set in the old West, old Wild West. It was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Even though it was not a what if scenario, at least it was an interesting scenario for them to pick. So I can't be too upset about that. The Watcher once again interfered with the story a little bit. This time saving what I assume to be Iron Fist, not baby, child Iron Fist. I don't know. They make like a little joke at the end. So this time the Watcher, he got confronted by his peers and he got pushed against the wall of multiverses, I guess, and 3 different multiverses kind of like fell out of place. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, 2 very good episodes in a row. So we're on a hot streak. Hopefully it continues. Yeah. All right. So I just checked out episode 7 of What If. What if the Watcher disappeared? We're finally arrived, ladies and gentlemen, to what I feel like the season should not have been building up to, but it should have just been in the first place. But whatever, we're here. So Captain Carter is back. She saved a universe that seems like Nebula. She took the place of Yondu and was hanging out with Groot. And I forget what the rock guy's name is. I feel like it's like Brad or something like that. I don't know, something very normal. But yeah, she saved them and was kind of I guess alluding to what happened towards the end of season 2 of What If, which is, like Peggy's hanging out with the Watcher, and the Watcher's kind of, I thought they were just going to go to like different worlds, but I guess she's saving different universes under the Watchers are with the Watchers' help, so that's interesting. I don't know why we couldn't see more of that, but whatever. So yeah, then they find the three shards that kind of fell down from the last episode, episode 6, and they come to the conclusion, interestingly, they come to the conclusion that the Watcher, something has happened to the Watcher and that he needs help. So it's Peggy, Kahori, Birdie, but it's like woman Birdie, so she's fully grown up, and Storm Thor. Is it Storm Thor or is it just Storm? But she has Thor's hammer. I guess technically not Thor's hammer, but y'all know Thor would be carrying the hammer. In any case, she's got the hammer. Yeah, very interesting group. Would not have put them all together just based off of like, yeah, what team is going to be going around. Wouldn't have imagined it would have been them. But I do like them. I think they're fun and they have like really interesting chemistry. But yeah, this was definitely a setup episode. Peggy talking to Storm about like losing a lot of people, losing her universe, feeling like a nomad that kind of never really has a home. So she wants to try and protect what she has going on. And the only way she can do that is with the Watcher's help. So she goes off on her own to approach Vision that turned into Ultron, I guess is how you phrase it. Because he's powerful enough to go to the 5th dimension, which is where all the Watchers kind of hang out. And so when she does that, she gets kidnapped by the Eminence, which, by the way, the Eminence was the one that introed us into this episode, which I thought was pretty cool. Kind of like a mix up there with the intro. So yeah, now that Vision, or Ultron, I guess, now that Ultron has met up with the rest of the ladies, they're gonna go to the 5th dimension, and that's, we kind of left off on it to be continued. But yeah, this was a fun episode. I mean, it's a setup, so they couldn't be too much going on, but this is what I wanted to see from this season, and this is what I felt like season 2 did so well. They had the overarching story. They're able to tie it with some really interesting scenarios. And even if the scenarios weren't interesting, at least you had the overarching story. With season 3, for some reason, half of it is like they went back to season 1. They're just doing random stuff. And it's random, uninteresting things, I felt like, for a good bit of it. Now we're getting to what I think were the really great parts of What If. So as much as I, had my critiques, I also got to share my praise too, because, I don't want it to seem like it's a one-sided thing. Alright, so I just finished watching the series finale for What If, episode 9, 8, I don't know. It's called What If, What If. This was a great way to end the series. It didn't start with the typical opening of the Watcher, or Uatu, the Watcher going, like, time, space, reality, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, man, we don't get the last episode. But then it came back around at the end. I was like, oh, okay, that was good. But basically, this episode was, the Watcher and Peggy, as well as Storm, Kahori. I know I messed up the name last time. I'm gonna just have to bleep it out. But Kahori and Birdie fighting the Eminence. I don't know if they're all, the other 3 Watchers are collectively known as the Eminence, or if one of them is the Eminence, but they were referred to as the Eminence, so I'm just gonna roll with that. And that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool to see Uatu pretty much gave Peggy and the other Time Avengers, I guess I'll call them, just so I don't have to call everybody's names every time. He allowed them to take the oath of the Watcher, which, it was kind of funny because the episode starts with Uatu taking his oath, and low-key, it kind of seemed like a scam. Like, all the sudden, he said, like, oh yeah, like, Watchers are about these things, so I guess I should take the oath, right? And then the Eminence was like, you already did. And I was like, when? I don't know. It kind of seemed like a scam a little bit, but yeah, Uatu gave Time Avengers the oath, or Multiverse Avengers the oath, and they became Watchers as well. So they had the power to fight back against the Eminence. So that was very unexpected. And yeah, this was just like a cool kind of fight episode, but also, uh, kind of towards the end, we get to hear like why Awatu like broke his oath and is willing to intervene on some of these different things that go on in the multiverse. So that was interesting. But yeah, very just like action packed climax. It was a good way for the series to go out. You know, we this season, they managed to bring it back around towards the end, but whoa, wow, the beginning of the season was not what I think a lot of people wanted. Well, I guess moving forward, you know, we're not doing, well, at least as far as I know, we're not doing What If anymore. It's just going to stick with Marvel Animations. I was talking with my friend Didge from Geekset. Check out the Geekset channel if you don't already. About, like, I guess what this series could have been. And we both were under the assumption that What If was going to be more like an anthology series, which it was to an extent. But then, like, towards the end of each season, they have, like, this overarching story, which I personally didn't mind. Didge was not so much a fan of, but I felt like that was the most interesting part about season one. Season one being kind of meh, so you know the bar was not too high. And then season two, I still do think that they told an anthology where it's just like anthology, but the main character was pretty much throughout each episode with Peggy going to these different universes, helping people, so they can fight. With the party Thor episode, like it was a fun episode, but it like what how did that change any perspective from the MCU? You know, like Thor not having a brother just made him into a party guy. He just wanted to party all the time. Like that's not too particularly interesting to me. You know, versus I think the first I don't know if it was the first episode of season one, but one of the first few episodes of season one, where we see what happened to Steve Rogers if he didn't get the super soldier serum, but he was still in the military. That was pretty interesting. Like, I liked that. I like seeing that. So, um, or even, you know, main character Peggy, her getting the super soldier serum and seeing how her journey kind of played out. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, please make it an anthology and then really, really be intentional about what you're gonna do. Doesn't mean you can't have fun, but especially for a series that's like pretty limited like this, taking an episode just to like throw a party or like do something random like that, I don't think is the best use of time if you really want to explore alternative scenarios. But yeah, what did you guys think about the What If series, season three? What do you think about the series as a whole? I'm not sure. Like, I feel like we lost a lot of people along the way, so I'm not sure who's watching and who's not. If you haven't been watching, are you interested in going back now, or I don't know. But yeah, definitely let me know all of that. Uh, yeah, I guess next lazy review, it could be the new Spider-Man series. I'm sure there's some other things that'll be coming out. So, yeah, I'll see y'all in that. But until next time, hope you guys have a nice evening or night. Where's enjoy? I'll see you in the next one. Bye.